You've probably seen this actress in other films, but here, Mara Wilson represents something far beyond a pretty face or a charming performance. She embodies what happens when a child is taught to abandon the very things that make childhood sacred: innocence, humility, and that spiritual spark that only children naturally have.
That's not gonna happen. Two big banks just came in and they rescued Kohl's, so you better check your sources.
But Kohl's has to pay them back plus interest. If they don't sell a lot of stuff at Christmas, you can forget about it, pal.
She was raised by her mother to be the opposite of that, and doesn't believe in Christmas at all.
I believe you have something of mine.
About 4 foot tall, brown hair, talks like she's 64 years old.
To her, everything is material, logical, and painfully rational, almost like she's been turned into a little machine. So when she meets an old man dressed as Santa Claus, she runs away. She sees it as nonsense, something silly, incapable of recognizing wonder in the most ordinary things. And that's exactly what this man, who lives in a retirement home and insists he is Santa Claus, Chris Kringle, brings into her life and Miracle on 34th Street. Because Santa Claus isn't just some silly idea, a myth to be ignored, or a fool childish bad fantasy that should be outgrown. Yes, Christmas has become commercialized. But even in the middle of all that, even in the most consumer-driven environment, like 34th Street in New York or the exact place where you are right now, the symbol of Santa Claus can still survive.
I'm not just a whimsical figure who wears a charming suit and affects a jolly demeanor. You know, I'm a symbol. I'm a symbol of the human ability to be able to suppress the selfish and hateful tendencies that rule the major part of our lives.
As Chris Kringle reminds us, he points towards something good, something we've forgotten how to see. And that's where the girl's mother comes in. Dory Walker represents people who are disillusioned, or rather, people who were almost forced into disillusionment. After being hurt and abandoned, she hardened her heart. Dory became what so many modern citizens are pushed to become: people who bury their instincts, shut down their tenderness and focus only on work and survival, convinced that vulnerability is dangerous. To melt a heart like that, it takes someone extraordinary, a man who is virtuous, patient, gentle, and understanding. Someone who refuses to give up, even when everything seems against him. Yet, even he can't do it alone. It takes something more, a providential intervention, for that frozen heart to finally thaw. And when it does, Christmas stops being just a date and becomes a miracle. In the end, the story reveals the true magic of Christmas, pointing us back to its greatest symbol: God's action in our lives. Especially in a world as materialistic as 34th Street in our modern times, many people today would say God doesn't exist, that the only real forces in the world are money and power. But the film invites us to reflect on a far deeper drama, one that is literally put on trial in the story: belief. To have faith, not just in Santa Claus, but in eternal things, in God, and in His constant desire to save us. This requires a leap. It asks us to trust that we can be redeemed, that we can risk loving, being vulnerable, and giving ourselves to others. That is the true leap of faith each of us must take. Without it, we're trapped in agony and a restless chase for treasures that rust, rot, vanish, and leave us empty.
If you can't believe, if you can't accept anything on faith, then you're doomed for a life dominated by doubt.
Deep down, every human heart longs for the good, and that longing can only be satisfied when we give ourselves to others, and ultimately, to God. When we allow ourselves to love and be loved, when we live for others and place our lives in His hands, something incredible happens. We rediscover Christmas. Not as a celebration of a baby born 2,000 years ago, but as the moment we open the doors of our souls, so that the Christ child can be born within us this Christmas, and be reborn every day of our lives. Because the real miracle of 34th Street isn't a man who claims to be Santa. It's discovering that faith can turn ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Gold fades, gifts break, and lights go out, but a heart that believes can stay lit forever.